whenever you do these things, people always say, well, how do I get a job? And my history is absolutely no use to anyone, but I'll give it to you anyway. I was a child actor, and by the time I'd reached about 16, I did an adaptation of Mutiny on the Bounty, which was written by the then drama critic of The Observer, Robert Cushman. And halfway through doing this, I said to the producer, who was Roger Pine, this dialogue is completely unspeakable, I could write better than this. And you can tell from that I didn't have an education. But Roger said, it's a lot harder than you think, you know. Why don't you try it? So because I didn't know it was hard, I went away and I wrote a script in 3 days, which I gave to Roger. I just put it in the typewriter and just went like that. And luckily enough, the BBC bought that.
I was a newspaper reporter, trained as a newspaper reporter in Sheffield, and then went to Yorkshire Television, where I worked on the calendar news desk for a couple of years. And out of there, moved into documentary films and became a director, and happily shuffled along making documentaries for what feels like millennia. And then one day I was making a film, cutting a film, and the cutting room was down the road, and I could hear shrieks of laughter, 2 sorts of shrieks coming from the next door cutting room. One was shrieks of laughter, and the other one was ah, like, you know, Hitchcocky noises. So I went in there to see what they were doing, and they were just having a ball cutting a really stupid little horror story. And I stood and I watched them, and you know, I just thought, God, gee, I could do that. I could do that.
Like you do.
And I went home, and I did it. And I, 3 days, wrote this stupid script, which was called A Real Fire. It was all about spontaneous human combustion. And I didn't know what to do with that. I sent it to the Bill, who did not buy it. PC Stamp did not investigate the spontaneous human combustion eruption. But they did really like it. It made them laugh. You know, they had the same reaction that I'd had listening to the people next door. So they called me in and they worked with me to write my first script for the Bill. It took about a year.
One of the things, whenever I do stuff with new writers, is it's amazing how few new writers actually do their work out loud. And that's the only thing that comes naturally if you've been an actor, is you play all the parts. And you look at, you read someone's script, and often you can tell straight away they've never read it out loud. It's like book dialogue. And it's amazing how you can improve your own stuff just by reading it.
My things fall into these 2 very different camps. One is original, one from serial drama, and the other one is based on true stories. And in both respects, they're completely different to what goes on in continuing drama. Where with the original stuff, that's just me in a blank page. That's the classic me in a blank page. I don't work with anybody else, I don't discuss it with anybody else. I fend off endless requests, humble requests from producers to see what I'm doing. I can't actually work from storylines. I mean, shut your ears, everybody who's a student screenwriter, because I know this is the absolute opposite of what you're taught to do, but I don't have enough room in my head to storyline stuff. So I actually don't storyline stuff, I just...
So does that mean you don't know where something ends when you started?
It means that, exactly. I did a serial last year called 5 Days that they started shooting before I'd written the end, which wasn't very nice for anybody.
On the Emmerdale team, there are 4 writers who've come through that storyline team. And what happens with the process, for those that don't know, is, I mean, it goes on forever. We're talking the never-ending story. In my case, till I fall off the perch, but it'll still carry on after that. And we meet every 4 weeks. And obviously you are never with a blank page, because it's a continuing story. There are always stories up and running, but we're also bringing in new stories, and we sit round and chat about them, slag them off. I mean, in actual fact, which is worrying, we're a slightly pleasant group. We don't argue. I mean, my own favourite is, you know, bollocks is a term of endearment amongst sailors in my world, and that's how I like discussing a story, but we tend to be much more polite than that these days.
My toppest ever writing day, I wrote 25 pages. I was so thought about it, so I looked at it all had to go. That really was stream of consciousness. It was just all lovely stuff that was never going to get in. Because the thing, I think the important, when I say I work very organically, and I do, and I work in this incoherent way, and I do, I ought to qualify that by saying that I was a documentary film director, and I spent years in cutting rooms making the film work in the cutting room. I've got a very good sense of pace from that, and I've got a good sense of what the outcome ought to be. So all the time as I'm writing and researching, I'm editing in my head constantly. I'm not writing a treatment and then moving off it. I'm sort of doing it the other way around. I don't know if this is remotely comprehensible, but I'm sort of starting from the cut version in my head.
How do I work? I oddly, because I am a quick writer, spend longer blocking than most writers do. And I don't know what your blocking process is, but mine is, because I'm old-fashioned and I hate computers, just on cards. I just go through everything I want to say, and I do it in bullet points. I don't write loads of shit, I just write, he dies, he hits him, blah, blah, all these sort of things. And then I'll put them on the table and shuffle them around, all right? That's what I do. And that shuffling process, oddly, is longer than writing with me. That's just an individual thing, because I tend to play the thing in my head, and because I've also directed, I try and see it in my head. And also, because I'm cussed awkward, I look for some way of doing it, because we do 300 and bloody whatever it is a year, some way that is different. I can't bear starting with breakfast and ending in the evening. I will, having moved all that round, think, oh, is there a way I could do that starting in the middle of the night or whatever? But once I've done that, my writing process is quite quick. It generally takes me probably somewhere between a day and a half and 2 days to write 23 minutes.